Hello, everyone. Welcome to Adventures in Good Health, a weekly podcast where we explore natural approaches to the good life. And in that, I'm talking about good health. I am your host and aspiring herb geek, David Maloof. As we continue our journey with these podcasts, the following theme is becoming apparent: that by taking action that is based on knowledge, we maintain significant influence on our own health. In today's deep dive, we're going to talk to an expert about what exactly is meant by taking control of our own health. We are talking actual life experiences, and we're keeping it real. This podcast is sponsored by Dr. Tates, Herbal Tinctures and Tonics. And while we will mention the tonics if they are relevant to the conversation, this podcast is not an infomercial. We are discussing a wide range of topics, but I wanted you to know who is sponsoring the show. Let's get started. Today, I am joined by health, wellness, and fitness coach and the owner and CEO of Roselle Health Plus in Roselle, New Jersey, Keith Broadway. Hello, Keith. And thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, David. Thank you for having me.
So, Keith, I usually like to ask guests the first time that they're on the show, tell us a little bit about their journey. So Keith, how do you write your journey?
Well, two ways. I grew up in Baltimore City, and I grew up with my grandmother who died kind of early. The thing with that is, in our family, we've had women that live a long period of time. And as you grow older, when you're 10, you look at somebody at 50 and say they're old. The problem is, you were born to grow old. So as I was getting older, as I changed, I've always been athletic, but somehow or another, I started gaining weight a lot. I've never drank coffee. I've never smoked a cigarette, but I started gaining weight. Since I didn't know family history, I didn't realize that I was exactly like my grandfather. And of course, my grandfather, the way I'm told is, someone told me once, "Oh, you look just like Grandpa Broadway." I used to sit on his lap. Well, he really didn't have a lap, so I used to sit on his knee, which indicated he was so robust. He was so big. As I got older, I just noticed that was a problem for me. And then I just started changing. I didn't want to eat meat anymore. I wanted to exercise, but my exercise wasn't getting me what I wanted. And I was in corporate America. And then 9/11 happened, and it gave me the opportunity to look at another opportunity. So I said, I'm going to open a health store. Because when I go into other stores, I ask them for help. They just point me to a product, but no one could tell me how it works and what it was supposed to do. So I'm just going off of blind faith. And it started me down this path. At that point, I was almost 345 pounds. And I've always been 165, 180.
All right. So you were at an athletic weight for much of your life. And then over the course of a period of time, you grew to over 300 pounds, and then you remembered your grandfather. What were you thinking? I mean, what was the moment you kind of had that moment you kind of realized you were on a dangerous path?
Well, I couldn't figure it out. You go through all of the thoughts in your mind that I'm big boned it. It's family history. If you're a 4-foot guy named Danny DeVito, you're never going to be a 7-foot tall Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You can rationalize in your mind all kinds of things, but then you got to start looking at what are you contributing to that. When I started looking at that, I realized that once I stopped all the habits that you have as a young person, when you go to college, you go to school, you drink a little alcohol. Not sure if I can say that. You smoke a little bit of weed, which I haven't smoked in 30 years, so let me put that in.
Okay.
But once I started down that path, I noticed that I was just growing. So maybe I was getting bigger because I'm still using the same habits that was taught to me by my parents and my grandparents. I'm from the African American community, so we fry everything. My grandmother, white rice is going to be with it no matter if it's bacon and eggs. You're going to have something. So maybe it's what I'm eating. And then I got a chance to open the store, and my brother, sarcastic person that he is, said to me one day, standing behind the counter, me 300 and something pounds, saying, "You cannot be Don King with a barbershop. You cannot steer somebody down the road of healthiness when you're standing there 400 pounds of potato chip away. Maybe you should practice some of these concepts more." And then it became real. So I said, okay, if I change the way I eat, if I exercise, because I was exercising, I was just getting bigger and bulkier, but I wasn't getting healthier, which made me have to really start looking at concepts. Okay, you can have a theory, you can learn something from textbook, but everyone's body is a little bit different. So what qualities or what things do I have to do to myself to get a result? So when I came up with the conclusion of mindset, food, exercise, and supplement, and then realizing that this is a marathon, not a sprint. You have to go through the process, and the process will get you in a result.
Okay. Mindset, food, and supplement. Exercise.
And then supplement.
So can you expand on those?
Yes. Well, mindset is, okay, when you're younger, in my experience, when you're younger, your mind controls, your body controls most of your choices. You don't really rationally think them. You smell good food, you want some.
Mm-hmm.
You eat too much, you continue to eat. But as you get older, you have to kind of flip that. Unless you conquer yourself will conquer you. You live with yourself longer than anyone else. So you have to know what your do's and don'ts are, and you know your weaknesses. So you start to look at your weaknesses and try to figure out how to take those weaknesses and make them strengths. So if I could put my mind around it and know that life and everything else is played in the mind, and then you act physically. So that was the first way. So then what am I eating and how am I eating it and when am I eating it and how do my body process it? So then once I started looking at that, okay, well, if I'm eating a whole bunch of junk, if I'm not cooking as much and every time I get hungry, I go shopping, that means I buy more, I buy the wrong things. And if I put it in my home, when I open the closet because I want something to eat, if I'm going to see the Oreos, the potato chips, or I'm going to see something else that I put there that would help me on the journey. So then the food becomes a target because if I eat more fruits and vegetables, and at the time I was still eating meat, so if I eat lean meat, and then I said, well, if I eat fish and I only eat fried, trying to find a balance that works for your body because, there's no one size fits all in this protocol. There's a reality. If you're a sports person, you have a center on a football field for a reason. And you have a center on a basketball court for a reason because their genetic structure allows them. So everyone's not made to be one way. If you're Muggsy Bogues and you're 5'2", you're not going to be Michael Jordan. So you have to stop looking outward and start looking inward because you can't outsource your journey.
Society it'll present certain, I guess you could say, aspirational imagery, whether it's advertising or television production or influencers or whatnot. And sometimes people that can be great in a sense, that can be inspirational. But unless somebody, it can be a little depressing if you've been doing, 3 or 4 months of exercises or crunches and things, and you don't have that 6-pack abs. One of the things that I've learned is some people literally don't have the 6-pack ab. It's like it's not even there, and genetically, it's not going to be there. And so, you got to know your body, and you have to have reasonable expectations. And sometimes there's a big difference between being healthy and just looking like a model. Does that make sense
Well,
with what you're seeing?
well, it does, and there's a couple of things that say in it. Uh, Society is never going to show you. If they show you a fat person, that person is eating a donut, and they're promoting that. And if they show you a 6-pack ab, then they're promoting that. They'll tell you the ab cruncher will do that. That's why you have to look at a long-term journey. Most people grew into one way, but now they want to change it overnight. So when they say lose 10 pounds in a weekend, well, yeah, you could possibly lose that much water. But if you want to be healthy, then there's something else you need to do. Inside of my store, I have 4 signs that's behind my cash register, a 10 by 11 frame, and they help me to explain to people what I think. It says, your body is your only home. If you destroy it, where will you live? That's your residence. Most people are proactive with hygiene. Most people are proactive with maintenance on their cars. They're just reactive when it comes to health. The
That makes
second
sense.
sign says, we first make our habits, and then our habits make us. So if you get up every day, smoke a cigarette, have a cup of coffee, sit around, watch the news. In my mind, the news gives you a lot of information. Although 100 positive things that could happen, they're going to give you the top 10 bad things. The cigarette's going to cloud your lungs, and the coffee is going to. But that's what you program your body to appreciate. The next sign says, now if you want the mindset or if you want better, now you have to do change. And change means you have to become uncomfortable to become comfortable. That's the transition. You move from Texas to a snowy place. That's a change. And it's a transition. And you're going to be uncomfortable until you're comfortable with that. So, and the last one says, unless you conquer yourself, yourself will conquer you. When I walk out the door, my mom is not with me, my dad's not with me. I have to know that if I go to get something to eat, I can supersize it or I can't. So society will feed you what you choose to learn, and you get to pick and choose what registers in your life. And most people don't. Most people, will enjoy a supersize, and they enjoy a crave. Sugar will make you crave more. Fried will make you crave more. And we don't give our minds time to process that. We want everything now. And then, of course, the exercise part. Okay, we're going to have to do some exercise. And most people think exercise is training. Like, when I train as a personal trainer, I try not to use a program that's called Insanity. Although Insanity is a great program, it's a 7-day max out yourself every day. Most individuals cannot do that. People can get, I call it the Amway way of thinking. They can hype you up and show you all kinds of things, but then reality set in, and most people cannot keep that protocol for 7 days. But it's 7 days in a week. If you can exercise 3 to 4 of those days consistently with the eating habit and the mindset, and you can take some supplements because our food don't give us everything we need. And if you want a fat burn and you want something to help you along, but remember, that's the thing that drops off in the end. I believe you have to keep the 3. But if I could get myself to think that, okay, I'm going on a journey, And this journey is a marathon and not a sprint. I know there's a process. So I know I cannot go from second grade to fifth grade because I'm going to miss part of the process. And if anyone ever drive a stick, David, do you drive a stick car?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you know if you're in fifth gear, you can't really go to first gear from fifth without breaking it down or going to neutral because it's going to rev back up. So when you lose weight so quickly, 10 pounds in a weekend, whatever, then your body says, okay, well, this is not normal. I'm used to being 300. You didn't take it through a process of 2 or 3 pounds a week. So now it wants to go back to where it was comfortable at because it's what it knows. But if you do the process, if you go from fifth gear to fourth gear to third gear to second gear, the engine understands the change. And it's just as you back it up. So when the actor is doing that, yeah, he has a year to get ready for this role, and their lifestyle changes. As soon as that role is over, that discipline that it took goes out the window because they're led by other factors other than just the fact that they want the happy life, the healthy lifestyle.
They want to have a happy and healthy lifestyle, and going on a training regimen that transforms your body in 3 months is not something that most people are willing to do, or would even be healthy. But
well, realistically, it's not healthy. It's like when I put on my best outfit and my stomach is hanging slightly over my pants, so I'm gonna walk around all day holding my breath. But as soon as I get somewhere where no one's watching, because that's not healthy. But that's the lifestyle that they choose. The normal person, what I've learned is learning to meet yourself at the level you can sustain. If someone comes in and they ask for, and I'm going to use this as a good example, a Dr. Tates tonic. Okay, fantastic product, but it says bitter but better on it. So when somebody asks me how it tastes, I show the label. Now, if a person knows that they do not like bitter or nasty things, I grew up with my grandmother, so Geritol, 3 6s, Farmer's Johns, castor oil, 2 fingers, a big set.
yeah,
When something tastes nasty to me, I'm thinking it's healthy.
so full disclosure, Dr. Tate's Herbal Tinctures and Tonics. I don't know. I would call it nasty.
Well, I don't say nasty either, but on the bottle it says bitter but better.
It is bitter, and I remember I asked Doc years ago, well, can't you put honey or something in it or something to make it? Oh, I got that look. I was like, oh, okay, I won't ask that again.
Yes.
But I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
But the reality is, so maybe if I convince a person to take a bitter or a tonic or something, but they know once they get home and they get out of my presence, it just sits there, then that defeats the purpose. So if a pill or a capsule works better for them,
right,
then that's what I'll suggest. So if you first determine what you can sustain, what works for you. So when we talk about the bodybuilder, we talk about the marathon runner that know he has to load up on carbs, he's going to load up on carbs because he knows he's going to need that energy in the second stretch of the run. But if you won't do the protocol, then having a protocol makes no sense.
I can see what you're saying. So when someone comes and they talk to you, because you are a life coach, and when someone starts their journey with your assistance, is you're trying to get to know. It sounds like you're trying to get to know the person and try to understand at that point of that snapshot in time, what are their tolerances? You try to work within that. Is that generally the approach?
Well, what I actually try to do is I try to first, like you say, learn down, but more so, I try to get down to learn themselves. People are so dishonest with themselves. They know their strengths and weaknesses. And when they're talking to you, they'll tell you, I don't like this. I don't do this. I won't do this. They'll tell you all those things. But what I try to get them to do is understand themselves and what process they would need to. Because if you talk to anyone long enough, they will reveal who they are, what they like, how they do what they do. But what you need to get them to do is say, okay, I understand this, but this building has 10 windows in it. Let's see if we can change the view and walk to another window so that we can see this a little bit differently, because you're asking me for a result. But that result's going to require, yes, information from me, but discipline from you. So if you tell me one thing, I'll be able to tell the next day or in 2 days whether you follow the protocol. So if you said you did this, but you went and got a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's going to show. So what you have to do is master yourself and then learn to master the process. And we're not 100% perfect, but if you could do something 80% of the time, my grandmother used to say, well, if you go to school 80% of the time, you're guaranteed to pass. But trust me, don't go to school 80% of the time and you're guaranteed to fail.
One of the things when I was doing Keith, I was doing a little research, and you mentioned healthy and cheap, and that kind of piqued my interest there a bit, because I would imagine that when people approach you, there is a fear, or there is a perception that people have that's out there, is that eating healthy food is more expensive than going fast food and places like that. Is there a reality to that, or what is the situation?
There's not a reality to it to me. Inside our facility, we have a health and vitamin store. We also have a vegan restaurant. Okay, and the first thing people generally say is that being healthy is so costly. But if you go into a supermarket, or let me back up a second, most people eat chicken. Most people eat salmon. So if you don't want to be a vegan or a vegetarian, but you still want to consume, then you can still consume those items. Now it's how they're processed. And what do you have with them? Because you can get a lean piece of salmon and then get you some asparagus and a nice salad and have a healthy meal. So the perception that it costs more, it usually costs the same, and a lot of times it costs less, because if you decide to become a vegan or a vegetarian, we all know that vegetables cost a lot less than wild-caught salmon or a nice porterhouse. So there's no truth to the fact that it costs more. It's just the thinking again. It's the mindset. You go in the grocery store, you can go down and get this over-processed box or whatever it is and look at it, and it's going to cost, so you can walk around the aisles and pick up what you want and still make a good meal. But when I say healthy and cheap, that's a two-part thing. I have a chef from Albany, Georgia.
Albany, Georgia. I know where that is.
And he's a Southern chef, and he loves to fry and cook and smoke everything. And he's amazing at it. And we've been friends. It took me almost 5 years to get him to do that same concept with vegan food. And then we compared the price. Okay, if he make this vegan dish and he make this vegan smoked food, the price was almost identical. It's just the concept in someone's mind is because they think healthier, then it's going to cost them more. But remember, you spend more when you're spontaneous, when you show up at a store, and in the long run, it costs you more because if you were going to pay for health now or pay for health later. And there's a saying that says, on your climb to wealth, don't forget about your health, because you'll spend all your wealth trying to save your health. So it's going to cost you either way. But one way the journey is so much more, the reasons and the results are so much better, but it don't cost more to be healthier.
And there's also, in terms of how you prepare your food, I'm going to tell just a real quick story. Is my own father was a big guy. And after he retired, he and my mom, they moved to Las Vegas. And I would go out to Vegas from time to time and visit them. And we would go to the buffets. And my dad would complain about how he wasn't losing any weight, even though he was eating nothing but salads. And he would have something we would call the Maloof salad. My last name is Maloof. And we started calling these things the Maloof salad because my dad would come in with a plate and it would be heaped with everything from the salad bar, like a massive amount of food. Then he would put oil and vinegar or something on it. And then he'd have 3 of them. He was going to get his money. He would get his money's worth. I will put it that way. And then he would complain about how he wasn't losing any weight. And it kind of strikes me. I mean, a salad sounds like a pretty healthy thing. But if you have 3 of them and they're heaped and and you're putting all kinds of other things that's also at these salad bars that may not be that healthy. And then you put different types of dressings. That's not helpful. And so
let's take that.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you. Let's take that. Let's look at that then. First of all, most people couldn't tell you how real food tastes. Real food, if you don't mask it with a lot of seasonings, a lot of additives, then you can actually taste real food. Most people I can't tell you how food tastes. So yes, he started out with a healthy concept. But by the time he put all those additives on there, the dressing, the vinegar, all those things, and then he didn't understand how his body processed it. So now you're eating beyond what you need, because at a buffet, and I have a good example of that too. I offer someone a cleaner or a detox, and they'll read the ingredients, and they will say, well, milk thistle for liver and dandelion for this. That's a whole lot of stuff. But when you walk into the buffet, that's a whole lot of stuff too. But you don't have a problem filling your plate with it. Then you're in the health food store reading the label. But when you're in the supermarket or when you're at the buffet, you won't read the label.
I find it interesting that if you have an iron deficiency, you get a blood test and you'll find out, well, you're low on vitamin D or you're low on iron. Sometimes it's the easy solution is to just pop a pill. But the bigger question is, well, why are you low on iron?
Exactly. And if you look at it that way, one of the things I try to tell people at first, I have friends that want to be all vegan. Well, I have a friend. She's a really good friend. She's a nutritionist. They just should be raw. They just should eat. Well, you can't get a person to be just a raw vegetation eating person if that's not what there is. But what I try to get somebody to understand is the Creator designed you with an immune system, with a pancreas, with a filter, which is a liver. All these things exist inside of you. The question is, you will take your car back to the dealership and they say, well, let me calibrate this back to normal, to what manufacturers say it should be. But you won't look inside your body and say, well, maybe my body's not absorbing iron, or not, my pancreas not doing this, or my liver's not filtered because of what I'm doing to it. And how do I get my body back to some kind of normal state so it can operate the way the Creator designed it to operate? But the reality is, like you said, your body's designed to absorb iron. Your pancreas is designed for your insulin levels. But if you don't have your body operating the way it's supposed to operate, you're not going to get a result. But people don't see that. They said, okay, well, they said this happened. Let me get metformin, and I'm going to be okay, and then I'm going to eat a candy bar.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. We have an immune system. We have lungs. We have kidneys. We have body organs like you have in a car. One of the lessons that I have learned is if you at least keep your body cleansed, your body can be more apt to help you because diseases can't live in a perfectly alkaline, clean body. And again, when I put in layman terms, when I'm talking to someone, I tell them, at the end of the day, roaches can't live in a clean house. They need a toxic environment to breathe.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
So you have to keep it. Sounds like, Keith, it's about keeping it real.
Yes.
And having taking healthy approaches to your life, having reasonable expectations, and understanding it's a journey. And the quick fixes, they're quick. Maybe they'll fix something, but they don't really truly fix the underlying problem.
Yeah, and a little small take on that, and this happened to me recently. A lady came in, said, my girlfriend told me that this vitamin works really, really good, but I done tried every vitamin out there. They don't give me energy. They don't do this. And she's adamant about it. So I said, well, maybe you should do a cleanse. Okay. And I actually showed them a Doc's Detox or Doc's Blood Cleanser.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to upsell me. I didn't come in here for that. I said, ma'am, if you keep taking the best of something that's not working, maybe you should start putting on deodorant without taking a shower.
So what happened next?
Well, of course, she said, well, what you trying to say? I said, you keep putting on the deodorant. You're putting all that energy into a toxic environment. You haven't flushed it. You haven't cleaned it. You haven't purified it at all. So it's going in there and you're getting minimum results. Maybe if you step back for a second, purify, cleanse, it can go into a non-toxic environment. So when I say you're putting on deodorant without taking a shower, that's what you're doing. You keep adding more and more on top, but your system cannot process it correctly because it's just toxic. You cannot put a quart of oil in a car for so long without draining out the old oil. The clean only going to mix with the dirty. And you're going to get a minimum result. So if I could put stuff in terms where people can understand on and relate them, just getting people to try to realize that their body was created with all these magnificent things. But if you get out of society way, look at what it actually is, understand how it works, and then work to make it work. And realize that we're on a long journey because old is the goal. You're never going to get younger.
So, Keith, what is the best way that people can reach you?
Well, that's the first way. You can call us at 908-241-5700 or 908-259-1134. The other way, you could go to our Instagram page, which is Roselle Health Plus, or you could go to Saluna Healing, which is the Urban Marketplace. So there's 4 places you can do. So when you come in, Urban Marketplace, you will find us on Instagram. You'll find us as Roselle Health Plus on Facebook and Instagram. You'll find us as Saluna Healing, which is all under the Urban Marketplace. So if you go to Urban Marketplace, you'll see Roselle Health Plus. You'll see our cafe. You'll see our Reiki shop. And you'll see our personal training. And, of course, Google, which is our best friend, because most people Google first. Google Roselle Health Plus, and you'll find all of our contact information.
Fantastic. And the beautiful thing about our modern world is that in the podcast description. So if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Buzzsprout, we will have your contact information in the podcast description. Plus, and the same thing for YouTube. So the podcast is also on YouTube. Plus, it'll be in the transcript. So if you're someone is out there and they're driving and we don't want you like scrambling, trying to write something down, or if you're busy or you're doing something else, just know that you can just come right back to the podcast information. You can get that contact information to reach out to Keith. Well, sir, thank you very much for spending time with us. We covered a lot of ground.
Yes, well, thank you for allowing me, because me sharing with you always keeps me focused. Remember, once you have to tell it, you have to live it.
And that is very good advice. Thank you, Keith. And now a quick word about our sponsor, Dr. Tates Herbal Tinctures and Tonics. Dr. Tates all-natural herbal formulas, which are the true definition of herbal tonics, have been available for over 20 years. These specially formulated herbal tonics are designed to help cleanse, heal, rebuild, and revitalize your body, which will help improve your overall health. Dr. Tates offers the Herbal Blood Tonic, Doc's Detox, Herbal Fat Burner, Herbal Female Tonic, and Herbal Male Tonic. If you would like to learn more about the tonics and where to pick up your bottle, call 404-459-8696 or visit drtates.online. That's drtates.online. All links and contact information is available in the podcast and YouTube descriptions. That does it for this episode of Adventures in Good Health. We would like to hear from you regarding this podcast and any suggestions you have for future podcasts. You can reach us at Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe and leave a rating or a review. Until next week, this is David Maloof exploring natural approaches to good health.